I'm like,
And I'm working the truck.
Good morning and welcome. Happy Agent Appreciation Day. We were originally going to do this big, amazing car wash for you guys.
you got it.
We still did it for you. You can't help it.
A little bit more scale.
Yeah, a little more scale. Scale it up. I don't like scales right now as much. Welcome all those of you online. We're excited to bring Agent Appreciation Day to you in the next couple weeks as well. So we'll make some dates and get that going. This is a great day, I think, for all of us. Thank you all for being here. We're starting with some coffee, and we have one of Gary's top 70 agents to hear from. We have Cracker Barrel, and then we have Double Barrel Happy Hours. So wow. We're gonna be like a barrel o' monkeys. So anyway, it's important to take your time to be grateful for as many things as possible every day. I did overhear an agent's client talking about how, thank you. So I overheard an agent's client saying how appreciative they were that they introduced them to someone, help them with the numbers, an accountant, and they said, yeah, it really made the situation less taxing. All right. So we're skipping our normal meeting. I should say skipping. We're putting the awards off until next week because we have such a lot of important stuff, especially hearing from Jason Huerkamp today. It's just special when we get his time and his wisdom and what he's experienced here being in Gary's top 70, and that's going to be amazing. However, we will start with the traditional play of the week. Let's hear it for Jason. Jason, cue it up. John. And the reason we're starting with this is just this is one of the things we're not going to let go of today. We're going to make sure because it's agent appreciation. However, we do this every week, and it's important to appreciate one another. And what we really appreciate with John and who he had nominate him was the fact that he held an open house where he included a new agent, and John did so because he had such great help here at PWPR getting off the ground and getting his career started. So thank you so much, John, for that. That says everything about our culture. Well, like I said, we're going to skip into something different. Let's bring up the girls. It's like watching you go down the hall sometimes really fast.
When people would ask me what I want to be when I grow up, I always said a pop star. Yeah. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome. Where's the liquor?
Okay.
This is Grace. Hi. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that was first. Well, I did. I just messed up. Okay, sorry. Okay, we have something really, really cool to tell you. So, where is Brian Sunder in here? Hi. Okay, we're gonna one-up you here with the Red Day situation, okay? You've done a great job, but this is pretty cool. So, for those of you that participated in Red Day, and for those of you that purchased a shirt, you probably saw that we did a tribute to Mo Anderson on the shirt. So it was a house and then there was a hammer, and in the hammer we wrote Mo Anderson's name because she's known as the Velvet Hammer. So we came up with an idea to send Mo some shirts because we were like, she'd probably think it's cool, right? Well, we wrote her a letter and we sent her some shirts, and she replied with a handwritten letter to us. And so this is how it came. Gold Mo letters and just, very Mo. And she wrote us this long note that's really sweet, so Grace is gonna read for us.
Dear KW Preferred Team, thank you from the bottom of my heart for writing to me with your Market Center's 2025 Red Day update. Your commitment, service, and generosity to your local community is so very admirable. Your hard work on behalf of others is cultural leadership at the highest level. I was especially touched to learn about the impact your team made in the life of the elderly gentleman suffering heart failure. Your compassion is humbling indeed. I am so grateful for the gift of the t-shirts. What a surprise to see that your shirts were a tribute to my birthday. Thank you for remembering me. There is no greater gift than your service to your community on the occasion of KW Red Day. You have touched my heart beyond measure. Please know that I am honored to be in business with you. With gratitude, Mo.
So that was really, really cool, and we're gonna frame it and tell everyone that we have a letter from Mo. And then when we have Zoom with her, our Zoom call, because we raised $888, we're also gonna bring it up again.
So I saw Mo yesterday in Austin, and she walked right up to me and said she loves the t-shirts.
Oh.
And I said, you literally made everybody's day with that handwritten note card. And she grabbed my shoulders and she says, honey, it's my pleasure. You really did make an impact with the gear.
Oh yeah, okay, leadership team, ready? Go.
Culture, integrity, impact, growth. Keller Williams, we take the oath.
We do that every freaking day for you guys.
Yeah. I came up with that.
Thanks, Donnie.
You're welcome. Okay, we just wanted to give you a quick rundown of all of the highlight events that we have coming the rest of the year. So I'm just gonna breeze through them. You can find these on Facebook later today, and mark your calendars. But barbecue is coming up on the 9th. Quantum Leap is coming. Mega Agent Camp is coming up in August. Also, the Luau is coming in August. We're going to have another plug and play event of the $1,000 giveaway in September. We have a Monday Night Football event. It's going to be the kickoff of the Viking season in the training room, and that's going to be super fun. So we'll have the game on. You can bring your family. It will be a fun time. Don't know when Business Planning Clinic is happening, but it's happening. John Maxwell is coming. Trunk or Treat in October. That's another plug and play event. Then we have Turkey Bingo and the Gratitude Potluck in, oops, that's wrong, not December, that's supposed to say November. And then we have Photos with Santa Sid. Thank you, Ryan, for the awesome idea. That's another plug and play event. And then the Jingle Mingle, which is the KW PR agent facing event. A reminder of the holidays that we have coming up for the rest of the year. And then the annual barbecue is coming, so please scan that and sign up.
Okay, now Ken can come up to share about the happy hour later today. He's been here.
He isn't here, you're stuck with us.
Yep.
It's only 12:30.
I like the song.
It's 5.
Hi everyone, for those of you that don't know us, I'm Katie Conrad.
And I'm Kate Osborne.
So we're with the Wright Group. Ken Wright is typically here, but he's not here today. So we are having a happy hour today at Clive's Roadhouse in Burnsville.
It's for the Mutual Club, which is basically a happy hour for anybody who's interested in Agent Plus, is thinking about Agent Plus, or is already licensed, or just wants to talk about it. So
Yeah, and if you have any mortgage related questions at all, it's open to all of you and we'd love to see you.
and Ken will be there.
Yes.
Ken.
That's all.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, those of you who don't know, one of the couple great things we do with this, what Agent Plus is you can gain more control over your deal. You can make more money on the deal, and you can also use that as an opportunity to grow your profit share. And because of that, we want to give credit here and much love to Pam Resack, Legacy Builder. Give it up. CC, why Pam?
We are honoring Pam because because Pam is all dedicated to impacting lives, and she is just always thinking beyond herself. She's very focused on her business, but she's also really interested in how she can use herself and give beyond herself to impact other lives. She's given me an entire spreadsheet of leads and recruits and things like that, but this is a woman who just walks the walk and talks the talk. And so because of that, we just simply want to raise her name and honor her. Pam Rizak.
Thank you. So why is the Legacy Award important to us? You're impacting the world for another agent. You're impacting your world. You're impacting the world for your preferred partners, and you're impacting generations, which is why we want to share about profit share. Jason, how much profit share have we shared in 2025? What's your guess? Tree fitty. Let's see. Anyone? I would definitely go 351 if this was Price is Right. 93,200 has been shared amongst y'all. Let's give it up. Sharing means caring, and we want to help more people share so you can gain more and more freedom in your life. And, ladies and gentlemen, we have a milestone that has been hit. April 21st of 2004 was the first profit share check for this person, and I believe it was $11. And then later that month and year, he and his bride got a penny each in that situation. And let's give it up for Steve Rawl. Job, Steve. That's an impressive stuff, Steve. We all owe this opportunity to all these people in this room, all these people who have touched each other's lives in this room, to Steve. So we love you, and you know who's paying for lunch next week.
Cereal bar.
Love you, Steve. Can you give us a yeah, baby?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, baby. It's beautiful. Well, I found out, I'm grateful, I mean, it's freedom, right? So I found out from my accountant that we're gonna be, financially free myself, so it feels really good, as long as I die next week. My wife's ears perked up on that one. Before that, we talked about life insurance. So that brings us to, we're having a contest right now. So please focus on your profit share, making a difference for other people. Look what it can do over time. It just takes a few. It just takes a few people, cappers, people join teams to be successful. This brokerage is going to grow and grow and grow, and I want you on board with it. I want you on board with it. All we need to do for the contest, it's done, July 7th. 3-way text with CC and Jason, and let's get these people on board. Let's change some lives. So, real quick about it. Not all of us have the monetary capital, right? To create passive income. Not all of us could just go have the money to just go and buy a house and create that income over and over again. So if you want 10 grand this year, start investing in the human capital that you know. You're in the relationship business, you work with agents all the time. Just one more question to them is all it is. One more question. And we have some profit share books here to give out if anyone would like some. I know we got a handful of you who requested one, so come see me. They're right up here. I can help you with that. And I wanted to also mention that last week we talked about a new day, a new beginning, because it's the middle of the year. We all have aspirations, high goals, and maybe we're not quite there. So push the reset button and evaluate where you're at. I also encourage you to reevaluate where you're at with profit share. Are you gonna start focusing on it? Just focusing on it a little bit will go a long way. And what we talked about was an acronym reset last week to help you reset should you want to. Reflect and decide your future, evaluate your priorities, simplify, establish a plan and time. How is it being spent? And that brings us to this. We're just so great, but she leads by example in everything. So when it came to reset, when it comes to her business, it's really picking up. She wanted to give us the scoop on how she's using the acronym reset. So. Everybody enjoys scooping every treasure.
I got double it right
Sorry, she's legit. I'm in trouble.
Love you, Jamie.
My therapist told me that I have a revenge issue. We'll see. And last but not least, thank you again. Now, speaking of someone who is the, well, I can't use that word, let's welcome up Chad Slazacek.
That's a good walk-up song.
That was, thank you. Pilot, absolutely. My wingman. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good morning.
All right, good morning, good morning. Well, I'm just gonna talk real briefly, I think a minute or two. Eternity Homes, new construction, who here in this room? Does this work?
Yeah,
Yes,
it works.
it does.
It's working.
It's not for what you
The
think.
mic is inside, it's working.
Okay,
Yeah.
just keep rolling, thank you.
Yep.
Who here in this room has sold a new construction home? Raise your hand if you've ever sold a new construction home. All right, that's quite a few. Keep those hands up if you enjoyed your experience selling a new construction home. All right, you actually have more hands than I thought. If given the opportunity, who would like to do more new construction based on what they know? Anywhere. Okay, I see a couple of these and a couple of these and a couple of, I don't know. So that's pretty normal, I would say. I would be this person. I love new construction, and that's why I've gotten back to my roots, and I'm representing a builder. And really just love to try and talk to anybody that has questions, might do a class, but yeah, new construction's always been in my blood, and it will always be there. It can be unique. You really need to know, what the builder is and what the process looks like. You need to feel comfortable and confident, I think, and then you need to be able to understand how to communicate with the rep and the builder on the other side. And if all that works, and then set very appropriate expectations for your buyer, which is probably the most part of that whole formula, in my opinion, you can have an amazing experience. If one of those pieces is amiss, just like in residential existing home sales, it can be a little off. I chose to partner with Eternity. They have 22 developments throughout the Twin Cities. They're more of a South-Sider. So I'm sitting in the Elko New Market, Boulder Heights. Woo-hoo, great development. We have Lakeville, we have Rosemont, Inver Grove Heights, you name it, all over the place. So if anybody in this room ever has any questions about new construction in general, or this particular builder, or even that particular builder, I'd love to be a liaison and help everybody understand a little bit more about that. Real brief, custom versus national, y'all know the Lennars and the DR Holtons and the Pulte's and then whatever. Those are the big box builders. When I started the building world in the early 2000s, it was primarily non-nationals, and then it flip-flopped. It actually went to mostly nationals. In the south side, I don't know the exact numbers, if anybody, Melissa, maybe you do. It's a healthy mix. It's a healthy mix, right? So Lennar is gonna put a little bit of a box product together, almost your Amazon effect. And then if you wanna do a full customization, this is one of the rare builders that will do fully customizable. You pick the lot, you pick the build, they'll do whatever the heck you want, which is where I started from. That's why I'm here now. Eternity does a very, very good build. So, anybody have any questions in general on new construction? Anything? Krista?
price point starting at?
Great question, about 2.8 million going up. They're not cheap anymore, they don't give them away. I'm sitting in a 5 1/4 split level, and when I started building splits, they were in the 190 to 210 mark.
69.9?
Yeah.
Freak our garage.
69.9. So it went from 200 grand to over $500,000 to get a split level. You take that same 525 and you go buy a Lennar, you get a 2-story with an unfinished basement, 18-foot wide garage. I hope there's no Lennar fans in there. I actually like Lennar. But their granite is like this, and their homes are like, the ventilation, it's nice, but it's not custom. I'm spoiled, I'm a custom. So 500, if you want a nice Rambler 2-story, start at 6.
Off-site building?
Offsite building,
Okay.
please, love it, yeah. Any dirt?
that mean?
So if you find a lot sitting, I won't say anywhere, but anywhere, they will work with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bill Plain?
let's go. We actually have a development going in Jordan. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like multiple lots, one lot?
One.
Sure.
When you said that 500, was that including a lot, package, or was that?
It'll give you a roof, maybe a garage door or two.
Or was it, I mean, so if somebody wanted to build off-site that already owns their lot?
Oh, yeah, sure. So then you could build, probably,
I don't know what they got built in.
I always say new construction, without the lot, if you said, okay, package a couple acres, don't quote me on this, but you're gonna start 800-900. When you get a well, a septic, a house,
What
a
about
lot,
city?
a driveway. In city,
Egan,
when you already own the lot?
Mhm.
Good question. Good, 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Other questions? Yes, sir, Jamie?
You have some people introduced today?
Yeah, is that part of this presentation?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, I don't know who this guy is. That's Ryan. Anybody ever seen Ryan before? Anybody?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of you raise your hands. All right. We have 2 new team members, and I'm waiting to see if Piper is coming around the corner. Oh, let's start with Casey. All right, everybody. Long and hard, we've worked really hard to find her. Casey Meyer. Casey, stand up. Casey's gonna be, she said she's gonna take over, masterminds, and she's gonna help out with all the EAs and this, and DO. She's teasing, I'm not trying to put any pressure on you. So fortunate to be in a business with Casey. Day 2, she said, I think 6 times, I got you. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. So we're excited to be in business with you, Casey. Thank you so much. She'll be in our office over there. And then we play a lot of trades with Olivia in the market center. We trade a few admins. So she took Karina a dirty little move, so I went after Piper.
Should we go back a couple years?
Yeah, I've got 2 strikes, she's got 1, so.
Game on.
So Piper is gonna be transitioning from the what do you call it? First impression, Sophie, thank you. And she's gonna be moving into, we call her an account administrative coordinator. She's wearing a ton of hats right now, so we'll figure out what her job title is. But she's awesome, she's got a lot of grit. We're excited to have her on board and try to level her up a little bit. So I don't know if Piper's gonna be able to make it or not, but that's it. Jamie said 3 minutes and I took 8.
As long as you don't do it later.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, hey, appreciate you, sir. Outstanding. Well, let's get ready for the main course here. This is a gentleman who, Gary's top 70. I think it's easy to take for granted when you've got such a heavy hitter in your office, what it means for the entire office. And one thing that's interesting about Gary's top 70, if you like to think about it this way, Keller Williams has 165,000 agents, and he's in the top 70. That puts him in the 0.004% of agents. So let's bring up Jason. There you go.
All right, am I supposed to have a mic?
Yes, you are.
Is there another mic? No, he gets that. All right, good. All right, well, Jason, just start. There's a lot of people here that maybe don't know your history and know you. Where'd you start? How'd you start? How'd you get here? What happened?
Well, first and foremost, I often wonder how I'm up in situations like this. And I have to say that it's not me, it's the whole entire team that we have, it has very little to do with me, and I've said this time and time again, you know, I basically built the foundation and they're building the skyscraper and they're continuing to build the skyscraper. So I want to first start off by saying that, because it has very little to do with me. I couldn't do it without all the great people that are on that team. So from there, what do you want to know?
Right now, those of you who don't know, he comes off as very certain, because he is certain, but he's also extremely humble. It's a very honorable combination. And how'd you get started?
So basically, I was a commercial pilot up until 2001, and then 9/11 happened, and that kind of went by the wayside. And then my wife's a third-generation real estate agent. So basically, you know, from there, decided I wanted to get into real estate and started selling homes. I think my first year I sold 3 or 4 homes, about what we sold. So not a lot of houses. Was with Coldwell Banker up until 2014. 2014, I think, I sold 75 houses in 13, and was like burning out. That was just me and Brooke. You know, Ryan actually eventually was on with us at Rank Custodia, Coldwell Banker when we left there, and Kat was right there too, with us right as we were leaving. So basically, I looked around the office at Coldwell, and no disrespect, but there were the 4 quintessential corner offices, and it's a beautiful building, and it was 4 people who I still admire that seem to have very dysfunctional relationships with their children, and they were all at that point in their mid-60s and still selling real estate, and all of them had made millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they were still selling real estate for some reason in their mid-60s. And I looked at that and I said, well, I really don't want to do that. So I gotta find something that's different. So insert Miss Reset, Olivia, and yeah, so she chased after me like many of you, and eventually I succumbed to her chasing.
She scooped you up?
College can relate.
Yeah, she literally scooped me up. Yeah, I guess Colin can relate too, but that's a different story.
That means you're the shit.
Ask my wife and my kids, they will tell you that. Not in a good way. So, you know, from there, we actually, I followed the red book. I really didn't do anything overly special besides I can take direction, most of the time. So I really followed the red book. We ended up having, you know, we came over with Ryan and Kat, Brooke and I, and that was in 2014, August 15th, and we took and just followed that book. I went to Recruit Select 8 times in my first, I think, 18 months, which Recruit Select is now Career Visioning, and so I really just dove into it and said, okay, how can I really hold myself the most accountable that I possibly can? How can I make sure that I'm actually following something that's in writing that I can do? I can do that, right? I don't have to make it up. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can R&D it. I can rip off and duplicate, and I can get in rooms. I always try to get in the biggest room that I can get in, right? And it's not for me, but it's for like all the people that I'm fortunate and blessed to have on, you know, my team. And I look at my team, including like you guys too, right? Because if I can somehow get in big rooms and bring back little tidbits that can help all of you all out, I think that's super impactful and, you know, important to me, because I like seeing people grow, and I want to see the office grow, my team grow. You know, I like seeing people grow. So, yep. But then I guess basically from 2014 till now, there's been a lot of growth. There's been, you know, we have people that work for us overseas, and we're pretty good at hiring those people. We have, you know, a lot of great staff, you know, here in Burnsville. We have 30 some agents, and it's really a lot of fun. And again, I just laid the foundation, and everybody around me is building the skyscraper. This year we'll we'll do somewhere in the neighborhood of 170 to 175 million, and between 460 and 500 units, give or take. But again, I do very little of it. I'm still in production. I think I'll sell 30 to 40 homes this year. But it's the team. It's having really good relationships with people. It's, you know, not being that typical team. There's a lot of teams that in the Twin Cities and greater that it's kind of a revolving door of people in the team, out the team, and we really are very intentional about having a good culture and a good family atmosphere is what it is. So that's what it is to me. And we really value every single one of our team members. So whether they're overseas, whether they're in-house, doesn't matter where they're at.
Right, and I mean, I appreciate you giving credit to the team, and it starts with the leadership of the people you and Brooke at the top, despite adding Olivia. Sorry, I'm addicted to that look.
I'll plead with that.
So tell us, one thing that I think a lot of us have been watching you lately that's been really intriguing is you've been much more vocal on social media and introspective and really, you know, taking a look back and appreciative. You know, tell us about that. What spurred that on for you?
I think what it comes down to is life's pretty short. A lot of people don't realize that. You know, you don't know when, you know, your last breath's gonna be. You don't know any of that crazy stuff. I've seen quite a few people die recently that have been young, like really young. Like, you know, I'm getting my hair cut last night, and you know, there was a gal at the barber shop that cut hair, and she just keeled over at 32. You know, and they have no idea. They said natural causes. They're not sure yet, which seems ridiculous to me, but that's what the autopsy came back at yet. And Ryan and I just had a buddy that we do boating with, and his wife passed away at 52 from cancer. And I mean, I think everybody thinks that they're gonna live, you know, somehow be a vampire and live forever, but they don't realize that that's not the case. You know, unless you found the photo and used somewhere, but I don't know that I have yet. So. I think that's important, you know, it's sit back and, you know, I'm really horrible at smelling roses. I like to pick them, look at them for a second, and then run on to the next thing. So that's probably one of my biggest faults, you know, is I don't really smell roses very well. Which means I don't sit back and look at the accomplishments and feel good about them. I just move on to the next thing, and that's what I do, which is maybe not good, but I'm trying to get better. It's a 5-step process. We call it triple J, but you only really need one J.
So tell us about the process. How did you find out you're going to be in Gary's Top 70? So tell us how that started.
Kind of just asked him. I wasn't quite there because you needed like $3.6 million in GCI, and we didn't quite have that. But we hold a profit line per the red book, not quite, but we're right there. And I think that's more intriguing to Gary than having the overall GCI, because there's a lot of teams. And there could be people in here too that put up big numbers and they don't really have a lot of net profit at the end of the year. So if you don't have net profit, then I don't know, you're not going to lose money on every transactions and eventually make it up in volume of units. It's impossible, you know, so don't take that mindset. I have a friend, you know, a mutual friend of Olivia and I's, and he told me face to face in 23, he sold $1 billion worth of real estate. He GCI'd like $22 million GCI, and he lost $760,000 that year. He lost. So I think that's important to me too, because you can't scale and rinse and repeat unless you're profitable. And a lot of people, they'll tell you like their top line GCI number, they don't actually know what they actually made, right? And so then they're making decisions off of this inflated number. And it can really get you into a lot of trouble because you buy this big house and you buy these fancy cars, and you know, to me, I look at like depreciating assets, so things that lose value over time. If you can't actually pay for it in cash, you probably shouldn't buy it. And that might seem super harsh, but it's kind of the reality of things. If you can't buy that asset in cash, I really question if you should buy that asset at all. It's one thing if it's actually a house, because that's an appreciating asset, at least since 2009. And historically over time, it's been very good. The best thing that you can do is every morning when you get up and you look in the mirror, you are your best buyer, period, end of story. If anybody's a real estate agent or anybody in general, you want to have multiple homes and multiple homes that you don't live in. Some of you heard this, but I owned 5 investment properties when I lived in my in-laws' basement. So that was real sexy, but it's a matter of like, I still own every single one of those houses, I think. And they look real sexy on paper now. But it's, I think that's the big thing is like, live below your means, too, and make smart choices. There's, people will ask me like, oh, what about the property you have or so forth, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, you got lucky. It's like, it wasn't really, there wasn't too much luck. It was a lot of calculation, right? Because in my mind, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So the harder you work in business, the luckier you seem to somehow get, right? And I just like, well, that's just hard work, If you do enough good things and you want to be a good steward of what you're given, whether that be money or intelligence or physical fitness, if you do enough good things, sooner or later, it'll come back to you, with karma, hopefully. So, yeah.
So tell us, what was it like being in the top 70 meeting?
It's a totally different meeting. I was fortunate that before this, that there used to be there still is this quote unquote top 100. What ended up happening with that group is it got very diluted, which they kind of had to do because Keller Williams grew, right? So it ended up getting to be like 500. And you can have people that, there's just so many different team sizes once you get to that, and so many different challenges, right? Like somebody that has a 30-person team and 5 staff overseas and multiple, 6 staff, in Minnesota, it's gonna be way different than somebody in this office that's doing $40 million a year and it's them and 2 other people. Well, it's just totally different questions. But getting into like that big room, it's interesting because Gary he knows everybody personally in the room, so he lets his guard down a lot more than he does in the other room. But he's a normal person that really just had a plan in place and he followed the plan step by step to get where he wanted to go. But he'll even say that he didn't envision that it was going to be this. I mean, I've heard him say that numerous times. I don't know how you could. I mean, if you said that you thought this was your vision, even Jeff Bezos will tell you that he didn't envision Amazon was going to be what it was. There it is. So, no, it's cool. It's a super small group, a lot of high producers, and a lot of people that are just totally openly willing to share. And that's why I kind of said earlier on, like, might sound horrible, but it is what it is. You're the sum of the 5 average of the 5 people that you hang around with. So there's a lot of you in here that might need to find better people to hang around with. I know I have, from time to time, and but I'm being serious, if you hang around 5 people, 5 people that are constantly drinking and you're going to the bar all the time and that's all you do, well, you're probably gonna do that, right? If you hang around a bunch of people that aren't fitness and into fitness or, being fit, you're probably not gonna be fit. So you really gotta look around and say, should I be putting all my time and energy into the 5 people that I hang around the most, or do I need to get rid of one and insert a new one? I mean, that's a hard decision, but for the people that really do stuff at a super high level, they always keep all of their friends, but they choose the ones that they're really going to put a lot of time, effort, energy, and relationships in. And I mean that with all due respect to anybody that's got that situation that they're thinking about, but there are definitely some people in this room that need to get rid of a friend or 2. Love hurts. Love hurts. You want the truth, you're getting the truth.
Well, thankfully for the married couples in here, no one really looked at each other.
Good sign. There's a coin toss whether you're gonna keep married or get divorced.
Well, on that note. Anything in particular that you walk away with knowledge-wise from that meeting that you think we benefit from, or surprised you, or just nourished you?
So I have some notes, but I think the biggest thing is like doing cash offers. You know, we've talked about that in here before. Like, I think everybody should be doing a cash offer. You can do it through Keller Offerings. I think it's a couple $100s a month to be able to do the offers through them. Anybody in here who has a deal that they think is somewhat of a distressed, or maybe even not a distressed, where they want a cash offer on it, we will do cash offers on pretty much anything unless it's like nuclear waste site, which we ran into one of those not long ago. Not literally, but real close. So we'll, so if you guys come, when we still pay commissions and everything, we're not looking to cut the agents out because obviously we love agents. So if you find a property that just doesn't fit the sell box or they need to sell it fast, let us know and we'll put an offer together on it. And maybe it makes sense and maybe it doesn't, but the one thing with me, like I'll always close, I'm not shopping around my offers or anything like that, but it's important for you guys to be able to make cash offers. Because like through Keller Offerings, we always leverage it too. Any of you can sign up for Keller Offerings, it's just you on the website and sign up. So with Keller Offerings, the nice thing is you'll get probably 6 or 7 offers. And some of them won't be very good, almost all of them won't be very good, but you do have 6 or 7 offers like that of people that'll actually close on the property. And so then what you can do that is on the listing presentation, you can use that information to tell them that we're going to be able to leverage these cash offers even though you're not gonna be able to want to use them, because when Jamie calls me and asks me if I have any offers on the property, I'll say, yeah, we actually have an offer on the property that the sellers are thinking about. And that's not sleight of hand or anything, because you do have an offer, it's just not an offer that's maybe acceptable to your sellers. And we've had numerous times where that has helped our sellers make a ton more money on their home. A lot of times it's probably 3 to 5% more money that they're making because we're saying, yep, we do have an offer on the property, let us know how soon you can get us something. So cash offers is a really big thing if you're not all doing it. We've been doing it for about the last 6 years, 7 years.
Any other notes you got in there you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, health, I think that's super important is, getting up and working out and, intending to be physically fit. I know Gary said, one of his coaches said, all you really got to do is, walk 30 minutes a day, and I mean, that doesn't seem that hard to me, but I'm sure it would seem hard to other people, but it's starting somewhere. His big thing too is, mindset. Be really careful on overestimating what you can do in a year and underestimating what you can do in 5, because I think a lot of people do that. They think that they can do so much in 12 months and they don't realize that there's a compounding effect. And I think really study compound interest. There's a compounding effect on anything in life, right? The more you drink, the worse your liver is gonna be, the worse your heart's gonna be, the more crappy food you eat, the bigger you're gonna get. But at the same time, the more you exercise, the more you take care of yourself, it all compounds eventually. You only have one body, right? And Gary was really big on that. Why do you treat it so bad sometimes? And I can say that at one time I drank way too much with him.
As opposed to with others? We had a couple years.
I think Jack Daniel's stock went up just because of us.
The record to him was Ryan Custodio.
Ryan Custodio. Yeah. Really be careful on talent and the cost of a hire. Anybody that interviews for our team, we have a pretty rigorous process. That means we're very protective of the team, right? That bad apple can spoil the bushel type of scenario. you have to be really careful, and that's why I took career visioning or recruit select career visioning is what we'll call it, I guess. You know, that 8 times in that first 18 months, I didn't have a ton of money then, I probably spent $20,000 over the course of that 18 months because I wanted to master that. Because ultimately who we hire for any position, if we haven't gone through a system like that, is we hire ourselves because narcissistically we love ourselves more than anybody else, unless you have kids and then you still might love yourself more than anybody else. I think you have to look at that though and say, like, you don't want me as an admin, right? I'm a disaster in the first place. I'm ADHD. I literally failed kindergarten. I'm dyslexic. I'm serious. Like that's all truth and factual, right? So like for me to do what Nicole does would be very hard. Could I do it? Sure. Would I eventually burn out? Yup. So because like I'm a very high D, so very high Ds typically can do things that they'll just get super frustrated at some point and they'll throw their arms up in the air and walk away. So that's the big thing with hiring is you gotta be really careful and you gotta hire for the right seat on the bus, and a lot of people don't do that, right? They don't know how to do that, and that's what I didn't know how to do when I was at Coldwell Banker. I didn't know how to hire people, and I'm like, this is too hard for me. But once I took selected career visioning 3 or 4 times, and it started to click. You know, I kind of got to beat my head against the wall a few times before I understand things.
So you would highly recommend people attending that on July 24th?
Yeah, if that's what it is. Yep, you should all be there. Anybody that's looking to hire, I mean, I would be there. And remember, the Red Book will tell you 2 admin are your first hires. And very, very, very rarely will somebody do that. They always go, usually they'll go buyer agent, admin, buyer's agents, admin. So remember, Brooke was admin, and then Kat came, and then Ryan came. So we followed that to a T. Get that book, follow it to a T. I mean, there's not a person in here that can't GCI $500,000 in a year. I'm super confident of it. You know, there's just not. Every single one of you can. You're just choosing not to if you're not.
Give us a day in the life of what your team looks like, your schedule, what's most, because what you guys do, we encourage the Market Center to do on-calling calls once a week. You guys do 5 times a week. What's that morning start for you guys look like?
Probably the biggest thing that's changed this last 2 years is we do script and role play practice every morning at 9:15, 5 days a week. Specific topic that we have every day, but that's super, super powerful. Anybody that's been on our team for longer than 12 months could go on any stage in any situation and do battle of script masters. You guys all have a bunch of like-minded people in here. I mean, you can set this up. I know that unfortunately the script call that is in the office is not very well attended, which it would be great if it was better attended because I know Colin leads that and he can script and role play with the best of them. And then he married Olivia,
No, we don't want that visual.
So I think that's what's really changed everything for us this year is we really got good at a couple little things, and they're actually big things because we learned that all the agents know how to handle any objection that they come up against, and you get feedback from your peers. You know, we talk about what they could do better, what they should have done, you know, differently, and what they did great. And so it's super powerful to that script and role play helps us out a ton. And then having a good CRM, y'all get one for free, which is Command, you know, so definitely use that. We use something different. We use something called Follow Up Boss. I think like a seat for an individual agent costs you $199 a month or something if you wanted to use something like that. But just use Command, you know, that Gary talks all the time, and some of you may know this. I mean, his first CRM was a Rolodex, you know, and note cards in a shoebox. So from that to where he is now, but you find a CRM and use it, and script and role play, I think, is huge. You know, you guys should all be doing that. Why would you want to practice on your clients? I think a lot of people do that. They don't realize, why did they go with another agent? Well, they might have went with somebody that was on my team because they were better at using scripts. So.
Thanks. And we do have other options in the market center too. If you just wanna ever wanna role play, just let me know. We'll put it together. And we do the play of the week, or excuse me, the say of the week, which is exactly what to say, Phil Jones, once a month together too, and that's a good time. One thing before we open up for questions. So we have Agent Plus. A lot of people have heard about that. And then me having a glimpse into your schedule and how, what you've got going in your world, was shocking to find out that you went and did Agents Plus, you completed the course in a week.
Yeah,
Which is
7
a record.
days. Yep, 7 days.
Yeah.
I did it it wasn't healthy. My wife probably was really not happy with me because I got a little bit moody doing it. It's just a lot of studying. But Agent Plus is cool because I think it's a way that you all can earn more money, be more sticky with your clients, and get that recurring business almost like an insurance company. Because, I think overall, if you look at the time frame that someone lives in a home, there's going to be the better part of 3 different occurrences where they're using some sort of lending practice. And just in the time that they live in that home for that, 8 to 11 years, I think it's closer to 11 right now because of the interest rate thing. But, so why shouldn't you get those other 2 opportunities, and actually 3 opportunities, right? You help them buy it, and then I don't think this is a good idea, but people do cash out refis, and I'm not gonna stop them. So if you can be part of 2 additional cash out refis where you make the same amount of money that you would if they were doing a purchase, why wouldn't you do that, right? And you're making basically 50 bips, which is a half a point essentially. So, if you had a $400,000 loan, you make $2,000, and show of hands, who would like another $2,000 when they do a loan? Do we have independently wealthy people that I'm not aware of in here? Because half you didn't raise your hand, but, so I would highly encourage you all to do that. A lot of my agents are already doing it, or some of them are already through the process on our team. So, yeah, I think it's super cool, and we vetted it like crazy, like everything I do.
Thank you and Olivia and Colin so much for all the vetting of this. You brought such a great team on to help us do this. Who has some questions for Gary's Top 70? Who has some questions? Maybe some milestones along the way? Chad?
Well, mine is more of a comment than a question. Thank you, Jamie. I have been in the business 10 years. I interviewed with Jason and his team, and now Kat, many moon ago to understand.
He actually turned me down.
And
good for him. It's turned out well for him.
Oh, we'll see, jury's out yet. But what I want to say is, I'm gonna give a little props. It's awesome to see what Jason's doing. Top 70, that's kind of a big deal. He's a pretty honest dude from what you can tell. And I just tried my ass off to try to model this guy. And then a left turn happens, and a right turn happens, and a left turn happens. Like, when is my time? When is my time? But eventually it's happened, right? So I can see the building and I can see it going, and it's coming together. Dang, it takes longer than the guy really wants. But Jason, I gotta give you some props, man. Way to hang in there. What does Jamie's quote said last week? It says, choose your heart. If you just stick with it long enough, I think Jason said that earlier, it will happen. So props to you, man. Glad to see you.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Jason, I've got a number of agents behind me who are just started with Keller Williams. They're looking for their first deal, and a couple to my right who are working on getting started in the business.
Sure.
They're going through their classes.
Nice.
What would you say are the top 2 priorities for a new agent to get their first piece of business?
Don't be a secret agent, shake hands, kiss babies. You gotta do that. So, and then I'd say have all of your sphere of influence, your database, into a database and get a good 33 or 36 touch together. It talks about that in the red book, so I would do that. We did that right away. A lot of times I was kind of thinking, why the hell am I doing this? But it's definitely paid off now, because for every 200 people that you have in your database, you should get in the neighborhood of 12 pieces of business off of that 200 a year, as long as you have, they know who you are and they know that you sell real estate. So don't be putting like your high school class, unless they all know that you sell real estate in there. And then pick one thing that you're going to master, as far as like your own prospecting outside of your database, and do that for 18 months straight. And if it's knocking on doors, talk to somebody like Nate Pence from Maple Grove. If it's open houses, if it's for sale by owners, cancels, expireds, maps through Keller Williams, which is the coaching arm of Keller Williams, offers 8 to 12 week classes that cost you anywhere between like $300 and $600 for that 8 to 12 weeks, and you'll get somebody that specializes actually in one of those prospecting things, and it'll be all focused around door knocking, or all focused around open houses, or all focused around cancels and expireds. So if you actually do that and show up to every single Zoom and make it a priority, you can do a ton of awesome things. So just get your database with a 33 or 36 touch into a CRM, and then pick something that you want to do as far as prospecting, and do it, and go find somebody that's really good at it locally, because ultimately there's going to be someone who's good at it locally. Invest in yourself and spend the money to, $500 is nothing if you can make a huge lump sum of money out of it over the years. I mean, it's crazy. There's people that in Keller Williams that, do a $500,000 GCI a year just on expireds. So.
Well, there were some that had questions about more details about you and Ryan's drinking, but we won't go there. Maybe after. Any more questions? Cece? I go faster, but I'm trying to run now and it's not working.
All right, so Jason, you clearly give an impression of a very intense person in a very confident, positive way. At Keller Williams, the top of the pyramid isn't about profiting, it's about giving. So we want to profit so that we have enough to give to others. On Red Day, we watched on this team, you and Ryan be so intense about figuring out how you can best serve that woman who is clearly overwhelmed. I just want to get everyone to understand that. But talk about, I had the opportunity to interview after Red Day, and you talked about, one, I really value time. I was trying to save time, but also I just wanted to leave that woman in the best situation possible. Talk about your intention with leaving legacy and how you want to, on HHG, give to others.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing on Red Day, we took and we went into that, and I realized really quickly that even though we had a ton of great help on the team that I was on, that we were going to do some things, and we were going to potentially leave this woman in a good position for maybe about 2 months, and then after that, she was gonna revert right back to where she was. Because we didn't have a great plan in place, so Ryan and I kind of figured out some stuff, and we went out and got the landscaping mat and laid down the mulch so that we weren't just laying mulch on top of grass and making it so that it wasn't gonna help her out any if we didn't do it right, So I'm a big proponent of doing things right, step back, look at what you have in front of you, and you don't need to rush to make a decision. Do it right, because the cost of doing it wrong just is unbelievable compared to sitting back, taking a breath, and doing it right. And as far as like our team, I mean, it's really awesome when, I think Andy in the back of the room, his first year on the team, he sold 46 units his first year on our real estate team, which is crazy. We've only had one person sell more than that. But a lot of that is not just because we have the leads, but we have the systems, and most importantly, we have the people in support. So all of you guys need to make sure that you have people in support, and you do here, right? Whether it's, you know, Olivia, whether it's Jamie, whether it's Cece, whether it's any of the other staff that's here. I mean, you guys all have a ton of support, and you all have a ton of support in this room. So I think it's tapping into that network and not being a secret agent. You know, as far as giving back and legacy, I'm always telling the team, you know, again, your best buyer is the one that you see in the mirror every morning, and you know, that should be you, I guess. So, you know, buy real estate, right? You wanna become a millionaire, buy four $250,000 townhomes, have somebody pay them, which they each might cost you $100 a month right now, depending on your financing that you're doing, but it's easy for every single person to become a millionaire in this room if you plan it out. But what I see a lot, you know, is people, they start making money and then they're like, I deserve this, I deserve that, you know, and I think you gotta be really, really careful on that, you know. Do you deserve that, or is that a want for some sort of an ego reason, if you really look at it, or is it something that you know, what, there's always gives and takes, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that I've done forever is I live way below my means. I encourage everybody to do that. I live in a $500,000 and maybe $50,000 house. And that might seem like a lot to some of the people in this room, but I'm just saying live way, way below your means and have a budget. Like I use Empower Cash, it's a free app. I don't sign up for any of their other stuff, and I use it for free, but Brooke can see when I spend any money on any credit card.
You had me sold until that last part.
Yeah. But you can set budgets in there, and yeah, I mean, you know, it's on Android, and you can put all your credit cards, all your bank accounts, all of your, you know, you gotta have budgets, you gotta have a plan in place, you gotta have to know where your destination is, but you have to figure out how you're gonna get to that destination too. I think a lot of people, they obviously know where they're starting, or hopefully they do, then we have another issue if they don't. But you know where you're starting and you know you wanna end up, but most people don't take and figure out how they're gonna get there and have it be an achievable plan, right? You know, like, there might be people in this room that are like, okay, I'm gonna do $100 million in 5 years, and I'm gonna go from doing 10 million to 100 million. You could do that, absolutely. It's just, are you willing to sacrifice and do what it takes to do that? Because for real estate, Ryan can tell you, there was many a times that all my buddies would be out drinking on a Saturday, which it wasn't the best thing, but they're all drinking on a Saturday, and I'm out showing houses all day Saturday, right? You know, so it's like, what are your sacrifices that you're willing to do?
But you did meet us with.
I did.
Yeah,
I
thanks for the
did.
clarification, Ryan.
But he did, I remember, but many times where he would, I think it was the year that you guys sold, I believe it was 110, because you said to the broker, I'm almost 110, and if I have to buy the last one, I'm gonna buy it myself, but, no,
Yeah.
you guys worked your tails off. I remember Brooke said she was ready for a padded room from doing all of the TC work, but.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I mean, none of this was given. You know, just so anybody knows in here, I mean, I always, when I saw people in my position, I'd be like, oh, what was the silver spoon? And there really wasn't a silver spoon in anything that we've done. There wasn't anything that was given at all. My biggest break was doing a lot of prospecting around REOs, which is real estate owned by banks. And I always am looking for people that have multiple transactions, not just one transaction. So when the foreclosure crisis came, you know, my biggest start was calling banks, and I was way late to the show, right? Like, people were dealing with banks in 2005 and 6, and I started dealing with them in 2008 and 9. I called one guy enough times that he could have got a restraining order against me. And eventually he called me back. We ended up selling like 170 units for him over 2 years. And people be like, oh, that was luck. Well, yeah, we're preparation met opportunity though. I mean, is there some luck? Sure, but it's ultimately we're preparation met opportunity more than anything. So you'll get lucky, or you'll think, you know, eventually though you look at it and be like, oh, no, that was just hard work.
Well, I did get one other question about how many people do you actually see in your mirror? When you look in the mirror, you said hopefully it was you.
Yeah, no, I've only saw one. I mean, I don't think I've been too delusional lately.
Awesome, well, this is a good portion to end on here, when you have, going back to the sports analogies days, I was shocked to find out not just what Kirby Puckett did, well, first of all, shocked what he did off the field, but that's a whole different story. But what he did in the clubhouse, what he would do in the cage, what he would do to prepare himself to be that person that we see every day and think that he's just up here. Well, he does that every day, and he's also someone who hits a little ground ball to the pitcher and runs hard to first base, and that's Jason. Jason hustles out every ball. He is humble. He fixes chairs when he sees one that needs to be fixed.
I do some dumb stuff. It's the ADHD in me.
Well, but it also comes from the heart. You can be ADHD and look at that and say, someone better do that, and you do that, so we greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much, Jason, for your time and your wisdom. Let's give it up for Jason. And one of my favorite things here too, he goes to meet with Gary, and he's wearing a Rolling Stone shirt. I love that. He dressed up better for y'all than he did for Gary Keller. That's amazing. All right, well, today's calendar, we have Cracker Barrel coming up. We have Mutual Group Happy Hour, ALC Happy Hour, and then we will all remain very, very happy. So before we have some instructions now. We have some instructions. So we're gonna ask y'all to please step out of the training room so we can set up the brunch.
Hang on. It's Agent Appreciation Day, so we would really appreciate it.
Go out. Get out.
Go ahead.
And do not ask to help us get ready.
Do not.
We are doing this for you.
We would appreciate you not asking. Other messages.
Coffee will be here until 1.
We appreciate you drinking coffee until 1.
And please pick up your handwritten note card on the leadership wall.
After you get out. You can come back and get that later. We appreciate you.
Thank you all very much. Now get out.
Hey, that's